Good evening and welcome to the May 11th board meeting. We will start with roll call.
Okay. Director Dalby.
Present.
Cooney.
Present.
DeBeat.
Present.
Koff.
Present.
Phillips.
Present.
Schneider.
Present.
And Schur.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please stand and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance. Welcome to all of our visitors and any media representatives present. We do have a public hearing this evening for the certification of our proposed fiscal year 27 budget. We will need a motion to open that public hearing.
So moved. I move to open the public hearing to amend the FY26 budget.
Second.
And then we will go into a roll call vote and you'll respond with aye.
We'll start with Director Dalby.
Aye.
Cooney.
Aye.
DeBeat.
Aye.
Koff.
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
And Schur.
Aye.
Thank you. Any comments for that?
No.
All right. We need a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make the motion to close the hearing.
I'll second the motion.
And another roll call to close that hearing and you'll respond with aye.
Sure. Director Dalby.
Aye.
Cooney.
Aye.
DeBeat.
Aye.
Koff.
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Schur.
Aye.
It is closed.
Thank you. We have our student board representatives report with McKenna and Cadence.
Good evening. Thank you for having us back for another month. What I want to start off with is that Alan Kallenberger won second place out of 30 competitors at the Mississippi Valley Regional Welding Competition last week at Bettendorf High School. MHS senior Arlen Anaya has been elected the 26-27 Jobs for America Graduates National Career Association Secretary. And this week is a busy week for the MHS choir, for the MHS music department. The choir concert is tonight at 7 p.m. The band concert is tomorrow night at 7 as well. And the orchestra had its annual String Fest on Saturday. The FFA had elections for their leadership board on Friday as well as their annual plant sale this last weekend. The FFA will hold one last plant sale this Friday the 15th from 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. for anyone interested.
For athletics, Jordan Meeker set a new school record in the 400 meters, running 47.7 seconds. Tonight is senior night for boys tennis. They are playing Assumption at MHS as we speak. Today, there were also away girl and boys track meets in Iowa City West, a boys soccer game at MHS against Davenport Central, and a girls golf mat conference in Kewanee, Illinois. Boys soccer has its senior night tomorrow in the MHS Stadium against Iowa City Regina. And the boys and girls track teams have their state qualifying meet on Thursday at North Scott. Additionally, it's going to be a very busy week at MHS. AP exams are ongoing throughout the week. Senior awards night is Wednesday at 6:30, where over 200 MHS students are going to receive scholarships and be recognized for their excellence in academics and extracurricular work. MCAP has an open house on Tuesday from 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. And graduation practice is at 9 a.m. Friday morning, and after practice, seniors will return to their elementary schools for like a senior walkthrough where they'll get to see all the little kids. And then my favorite item, graduation, will be held this Sunday at 2 p.m. Lastly, I want to thank the board and Mr. Christopher for allowing me to have this opportunity. Throughout my time as a student representative, I've had the unique opportunity to work with students and staff in a way that will be beneficial to my future career. It has taught me life skills and lessons that I will forever be grateful for, especially about the district's finances. Thanks, Tom. I'm proud of the education I've received at MHS and the opportunity to share my journey and celebrate my peers. Thank you.
Can you repeat one more time the MCAP?
Oh yeah,
when the open house is?
Yeah, MCAP is having an open house on tomorrow from 3:30 to 5:30 p.m.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you, McKenna, for all that you've done and the news that you bring us, and you're always happy to be here, and that's really exciting. With how involved you are, I'm not sure exactly how you do it, but you do great. Thank you.
And McKenna, for me and for the board, just thank you for your 2 years of service here. You know, when we select candidates, we're always looking for, you know, great students and great leaders. And I think a tribute to you in that is, I think you're involved in just about everything at the high school. That's not an exaggeration, I don't think. So we appreciate the time that you spend with us. And just want to say thank you, and we wish the best for you moving forward. We have a little plaque. Present that to you and get a picture and say thank you. You also get to take your little, your name. So make it official anywhere you go, but especially as you go next year and represent Muscatine at the University of Iowa. So best of luck to you, and thank you for all that you've done these last 2 years.
And now do you have to go to choir? Do you have to go to choir now?
I'll wait a little bit.
Oh, okay. All right. Any other questions for McKenna or Caden? Okay. All right. The next item on our agenda is our Citizen Speaks. If anyone would like to address the board, you can approach the podium, state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes. All right. Moving into our board target goals report, we have our goals under here. Students will graduate prepared for post-secondary options. Muscatine schools will utilize resources effectively and equitably, and students will learn in a positive and supportive environment. Under the first goal, we have our Seal of Biliteracy presentation.
Good evening, school board, and good evening, students, family, and friends. Tonight is the annual MHS Seal by Literacy presentation. We have a great selection of students here tonight to kind of show and demonstrate Muscatine's commitment to not only being proficient in the English language, but a global language as well. So just a little background, and the students know this all very well because we start this process early each year, but the Seal by Literacy was brought to Iowa in 2018. We officially became a Seal by Literacy state, and then I believe in 2021, we started the Seal by Literacy here in the Muscatine Community School District. Some of the reasons why you might be interested in earning the Seal by Literacy as a student would be that it is recognized as kind of like an industry recognized credential. It values having more than one language, being bilingual as an asset, especially not only in the career arena, but also in the educational arena. It also demonstrates the global neighborhood of Muscatine because there are so many different ethnicities and countries and cultures represented here. It prepares students to have those 21st century career-ready skills to be ready to enter the workforce. Right now, and this is similar as to last year, 2 colleges in Iowa accept the seal right now, so they would accept the seal for credit. That would be UNI and Grandview University. And this is our kind of like our history so far of students that we've tested and students who have earned it, and this includes a multitude of languages as well. And tonight we'll be honoring several students, juniors and seniors, who earned the seal. So not only will they have a sticker or the seal placed on their diploma, it goes on their transcript as well, so that will go forward with them. Additionally, we go ahead and we give the students a certificate and a pin, and students can wear that during graduation. So I will be calling students up here momentarily of students who earned the seal this year. We tested 36. 29 earned the seal this year. Languages that were tested this year would be Spanish, French, German, and Chinese. So students who are here, I'm going to call you up one at a time, and you will come up and just wait up here, and we will go ahead and get your picture taken and give you a pin as well. Mia Huerta. Elizabeth Bello. I should say the language they earned the seal in. Mia was Spanish. Elizabeth was also Spanish. Rihanna Vasquez Perez in Spanish. Fabio Mendez in Spanish. Connor Deal in Spanish. Yvette Arredondo in Spanish. Paulina Campos in Spanish. Mia Colazo in Spanish. Vanessa Garcia in Spanish. Allison Haig in Spanish. Saul Martinez in Spanish. Natalie Paulson in Spanish. Allison Papi in Spanish. Kenya Lopez in Spanish. Benediction Siwa in French. And that is a small compilation of all of our students who earned the seal this year from Muscatine High School. Why don't we give them a round of applause really quick? Also with me tonight, I have Mrs. Skippers. She has taught Spanish at Muscatine High School for 10 years now, and so she is partly responsible for some of these students tonight earning their Spanish seal by literacy. Mr. Koss, would you like to get a few more pictures? Yeah. Okay. All right, good job, everybody. Really quick, just a quick thank you to the family and friends who showed up tonight for these juniors and seniors. And we even had a few juniors who are now seniors last year represented. But if you have any information about the language programs at Muscatine High School, there's some contact names up there. I'm just the district coordinator for the SEAL by Literacy. Ironically, I only speak one language, but yet I do this every single year, and it's always my pleasure. So thank you.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Why is there only the two different colleges that are currently allowing the SEAL?
That is a really good question. I wish I could answer that. I would love more colleges to accept the SEAL by literacy because it has grown exponentially, not only in Iowa, but across the United States.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
All right, under our next goal, we have the AI presentation by Joelle McConaughey and Scott. Is Scott joining? Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good evening. Oh, thank you. Good evening.
My name is Joelle McConaughey, Director of Curriculum, Teaching and Learning. And tonight, I even forgot what I'm the director of today already. So tonight I have the AI District Overview, and with me tonight presenting is Erin Maurer from our District AEA, Jamie Krager, our HR Director, Scott Comstock, Technology, Pam Jocelyn, a teacher at Susan Clark Junior High, and then Corey Schleveen, who works at Jefferson and Susan Clark. So I'm really excited tonight to have this great team present. Our district just started our AI work this year, and so Erin is going to kind of kick us off with just talking a little bit about our team and the work that we did this past semester.
Well, good evening. I'm excited to be here. You can see here on the slide, this was our committee that we were able to bring together for Muscatine to ensure that we had a good landscape of educators from the various buildings, administration, school board, business, and community partnerships, just to begin the conversation, right? This is not a one-stop shop journey. As we know, the AI landscape is moving really fast, and so this brings to light what are the conversations, what are the learning, what are the things that we need to start considering to have in place, but not make it so tight and constricting that it can't move and be pliable as the narrative shifts, almost it seems to be on a daily basis, but ensuring that there are guardrails in place, not just for students, but also staff. So we spent several meetings throughout the course of this year looking at these topics, looking at the realities of what is now, and also then trying to be ready for what does this mean in 3, 5, 10 years. And so you don't have to keep going back to the drawing board, but continue to upskill, build perspective and awareness for everybody involved for the school district. And so we spent time processing, what is it when we talk about policy? Do we have common definitions around these terms that a lot of people like to use when it comes to the topic of AI? What is acceptable use for students and staff? How do we start to vet that process for all the different tools and websites and links and, because everybody has AI embedded, so how do we ensure that at the end of the day, the next bullet there, that data privacy is first and foremost for students and for the district? And then what do we start to do? We can talk about it, we can read about it, we can discuss it, but we have to start to empower the adults and the students within the system. And so what did that look like, moving forward to next year? And so the rest of the team that's here will get into those details here in just a second. The other thing that I want to just make you aware of in the landscape of the state, currently the Department of Education, as we keep having lots of new standards are being revised with the legislation, there is and currently in process to call for new computer science standards. And so I was part of that first round team, as was one of your faculty, and Pam also served on that first round team. And as we worked on that team, just so you have an awareness piece, because the public opinion or the public input towards the first draft of these standards will be coming out here shortly for input, is we branched out. The DE moved us into 3 branches. So there's going to be computer science standards, there's going to be a set of K-12 artificial intelligence standards, and there's going to be a K-12 batch of data science standards. So saying all that is those standards will be, if approved, will fall into place and be live next fall, which will bring some guidance and structure in terms of how do we start to have some of these conversations around AI in the K-12 setting. What's that look like for a 5-year-old? What's that look like at high school? So just so that you are aware, you might start to see some opportunities to give some input. It'll take a second revision, and then if approved, will be official come fall at some time, August, September, October, November, December, however you want to define fall and when it gets to the plate. So that's just something to keep on your radar if that is something of interest to you. And with that, I will pass the baton to Scott.
Thank you, Aaron. So as many of you know, there are 4 major enterprise AI platforms: Google Gemini, OpenAI's ChatGPT, Anthropic's Claude, and Microsoft's Copilot. Depending on the month or sometimes the week, the strengths and weaknesses of each model changes rapidly. We evaluated all 4, and in the end, it made the most sense to use Google's Gemini as our base platform. As a K-12 school district, it is necessary that the AI platform we use be FERPA, which stands for the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, and COPA, Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, compliant. Google's Gemini uses the same enterprise-grade data protection and privacy assurances as our Google Workspace for Education platform that we currently use today. Google won't use our students' data to train its AI model. Our data is walled off and protected for our use only. This is kind of a key criteria when we evaluate any AI software moving forward. Gemini is also integrated into the tools we already use, with more features arriving almost weekly at this point. This means we have significant administrative control over these AI features already baked into our Google admin dashboard. Again, that is also just something that's very powerful for our team to be able to make sure that we can regulate and control what that software, what those features look like as we move forward. So this slide is kind of a continuation of that. It just shows that some more supportive information with regard to the features we get for free as part of our existing Google Workspace for Education, and that those protections apply to all types of users regardless of age, which is another important feature we have to look out for. When it comes to vetting, so if you can imagine right now as we move forward into this next year, there are a lot of tools, there are a lot of websites, there are a lot of AI products, and more that are coming out every single day. And a lot of them in the education workspace specifically. And so part of what our group looked at is like, how can we sort of organize that and approve it and make sure that the tools our educators and teams want to use are compliant with what we require as a school district. And so this kind of goes over what that first level, like what that first draft of approval will look like. What we envision is that when a teacher or a principal or a building team has a tool that they want to use, they're gonna, they'll apply for that. We'll have a process for which they would apply for that, submit it. And then the building principal, we felt was an important step that they should be aware of the tools that are being requested in their building. So at some point in that process, the building principal will need to sign off on that as well. If that's approved, it'll go on to my department. We have a tool that we are working on that will assess that tool for all of the different specifications that are important, the safety guidelines. Is it FERPA? Is it COPA compliant? Do they train their AI on our data set? Is it free? Is it paid? Do the different levels, something we've seen a lot of these tools, the answers to those questions differ based on whether it's the free product or the paid product. In many cases, the free product does not offer the same guarantees that the paid product does. And so we have to evaluate that as well. If it fails any of those baseline criteria, it's important to us to get back to that teacher, that educator, that team quickly so that they can make other plans. And also to be transparent and let them know why it failed. If it succeeds, then it would move on to the district AI team to give a final approval over it, any discussion that needs to happen. And then it was also important to us that the list of these tools, because we would imagine that this will be fleshed out pretty quickly, that's available to teachers in a very easy to locate place. So we already have some established locations that is very easy for teachers to get to, and we'll place those sites in there in an organized fashion. And that takes us on to the next slide.
Hi there. As we bring AI into the classrooms, both the students and the teachers need clear guidelines for how to use it. A good levels framework does not ban AI completely or let anyone use it however they want, but instead it helps the teachers learn to use AI at their own pace, while teaching the students to think carefully about when AI can help them versus when it does that thinking for them. This skill, knowing when to use AI and when not to, is really important for their future in a world where AI is almost everywhere now. A levels framework recognizes that AI use depends on the situation. The same tool might be okay for checking your grammar, but it might not be okay when you need to show original thinking. Levels help students think about their own learning They learn to recognize when AI helps them grow versus when it does the thinking for them, so they might not even learn anything if they're just using it all the time. Levels teach students to ask themselves, is AI helping me practice and get better at a skill, or is it doing the thing that's really hard for me? So I never learn that skill. Levels also helps teachers at different experience levels. Some teachers are just starting to use AI in the classroom. Others are using it a lot. A framework lets all the teachers use AI in smart ways, starting with clear rules and about when not to use AI, and then gradually adding it so that they can use it and get more comfortable and confident with AI.
Much of what we want to be doing in the classrooms is going to be very similar to what we already are asking students to do with other resources. We already ask our students when they're doing research to evaluate the resources that they're using, and we want that same thing to continue with anything that AI is producing for them. We're going to have them using the Evaluate with Care model. So the C stands for Check for the Truth. This is to establish accuracy of the things that AI is sharing with us. Sometimes AI is really good at that, but we want our students to make sure that that is the case. A stands for Avoid Bias. AI is only as good as the data set it was trained on, and all of that is produced by humans. So we have to be aware that there may be biases in the things that AI was trained on, and we want our students to be able to identify those as well. With R, we have relevance. We don't want the AI to take student research in a direction that isn't what the student intended. We want to make sure what AI is producing for them or how it's being used remains relevant to what the student intended. And then with ethical, we want to make sure that our students are using AI ethically. We want to make sure that it is respectful and kind. But we also want to make sure that they are responsible and using it in a fair way. One of the things we would expect is that they are acknowledging any use of AI. It should be cited in anything they're using AI with. With that, it should still be an original student work as opposed to an original AI work. So we want to make sure that the student is responsible for what they're handing in as well. They should not just be handing in something AI produced, and we want them to be checking it for errors as well, so that it really, you can't just blame AI for anything that's in their paper.
All right, so that brings it to the policies we currently have in place. So 60506 is our appropriate internet use, and that applies to both staff and students. And then 60508 is the AI in the educational environment policy. And so the AI policy was adopted last July, and our internet appropriate use has been in effect for quite some time. These policies provide the framework and the guide rails that allow for our students and our staff to have that innovation with technology while still protecting them from the, protecting the district and the end users, sometimes from themselves, right? 605 really dives deep in the how we behave realm. So it talks about the expectations for how we operate in a technologically savvy world using the internet, using these types of approaches to accessing data and retrieving those types of tools. And then it also aligns well with the federal laws that are in effect. So whether that's the Child Internet Protection Act under the federal government or the COPA Act that Scott mentioned earlier, that policy is really geared to how we're going to act in this world, right? And then 60508, the AI in the educational environment, is more of the quality control piece. So we started with that policy last July in talking about what's this need and how do we start the framework for a policy around it. And it gives us some good benchmarking on what a fair and equitable lens at AI looks like. It gives us protection again from the world of technology and just going completely rogue, but it also aligns well with confidentiality in the FERPA federal law that's in place. Both things are in tandem a great start, and we hope that the work that we've done this semester will just be a continuation of that. In terms of training for our staff, we realize not everyone is at the same spot. Even among the committee members, we weren't all in the same spot on how we're using AI, if we're using AI, and our philosophical thoughts on it. So to that end, the IT department is going to work with my department in creating a 15 to 20 minute simplistic basic training that everyone can use when they're ready for it. And it gives the baseline of the expectations, the outline of our policies, and how to use it appropriately. We want this to be short because we also recognize that the Department of Ed has a laundry list of required trainings that are more compliance-based but required and take a lot of time of our staff each year. So we wanted to be cognizant that the time is of the essence, but wanted to provide the most simplistic but relevant information that any staff member who desires to go down the AI path would want. The plan is that we would have that placed in our Vector Solutions, which is our online training module that the district utilizes. We did upgrade this year so that we have full customization, so we'll be able to take whatever training, if it's a video, if it's a quiz, if it's a check for understanding type method, to put that into Vector so that we can easily and seamlessly roll that out to whomever we need to really quickly. It also allows us great reporting features to know who's gone through it and kind of gauge where everybody's at. In addition to that, Google actually provides a lot of free advanced and intermediate training, so if you want to go crazy, you can. I think that there's going to be some people who are well beyond the basics and they're going to already be down the advanced rabbit hole and they're going to take off with it, and that's great. We want to cater to where everyone's at the time that they're with us. So we hope that we have a lot of different things in place for training and providing those opportunities for our staff to learn and continue to grow with the AI process.
So in summary, I would just kind of end by saying we have a vetting process tool in place. We have a usage for our teachers, depending on where they are. And then we'll also have some staff training. So we will continue this team through next year and kind of work through this as the standards roll out. It is a fluid piece that we're working through, but we have a great starting point for the start of next year. So at this time, I'm going to open it up for questions or comments.
I'm going to go first just because I had the chance to be on this. And I can tell you, these guys are the best. I was a newbie, trying to know and really understand. And all the questions that, he posed to us, and then some of the potential answers to the question, then another question would happen, and there'd be another type of answer. So that's why we got to the point how Jamie was talking about, you have to at least have those standards, and stuff there. So then, you can grow from there. Because it was a lot of material, but it actually got us to that part about that CARE, because I can tell you for a fact that AI will try to please you and give you an answer when it's not really an answer, because I tested it myself. So I just want to commend you guys that they have really dug down deep to be able to get this started the right way for us. There's a long way to go. There's a lot that's going to have to happen even by the time school year gets going on in that. And as he's indicated, this is going to be a forever document, being that the fact that AI is always evolving, with it. But my question has to come to the part where when you're talking about that basic tool online or something, a 25-minute thing or something, is that going to be something that's going to be usable for subs too?
Yeah, so the way we can build it into the system in Vector is that we can roll it out to any employee who receives a paycheck from us. So whether you're a teacher, a substitute teacher, if you're the custodian and you want to learn more, we're going to have the ability to roll that out. And if, we set up the beginning with teachers and substitute teachers, our educational front-facing folks. But if somebody comes to us and says, I want to learn more, we can in a minute, assign that to someone and give them the
So along
ability.
with that is one of the things I think I said several times during our time, but what about the parents? How are they getting, their education, so to understand on a lot of this, so that could possibly be something that, to get them started as well at home?
Our Vector system is only for our employees, so, but I would assume that, whatever training is deemed appropriate for parents, we could easily figure out how to share that out to them as well.
That's also an opportunity for them to leverage some of the free Google training that's out there as well.
I can add to that too, just from like the landscape of other districts doing work, right? The first thing is you got to get your core unit, right? So your district employees, your students and staff, what's that foundational understanding? Once you have that, that starts to build, like just in those meetings, the conversations that this committee had were so in-depth, and it led to, every question led to 5 more questions. And that's really what we need. We need more people asking questions. Asking questions about AI, asking the ed tech company questions, asking the questions. That's how we get better, it's how we learn. And so with that, the next step of implementation is how do you start to strengthen your community? And I think the parents and business and those types of things, you start to weave those in, but it starts with your in-house first. It's really hard to empower others if the system doesn't feel completely empowered. You have pockets of people that are rocking it all day, but can you say like on ground level, we're ready to go? And so it doesn't mean you're discarding the parenting community, but you want to shore up your inside so that you can start to have those fruitful conversations again, and because that's just as important, right? There's a lot of shadow AI. People are using it, and it's not documented. We don't know what's happening. We don't know what people are doing when they're not being processed and vetted. And so to educate everybody is important. But to go it in a way where it doesn't feel too much and people shut down, and that's the key thing I think in education right now. So.
Thank you.
To follow up with this, with Karen's question, first of all, thank you for really a very informative presentation. But to follow up with what Karen said, my understanding now from the presentation that, the first tier will be staff, employee, teachers, and so on. But one important piece of our district will be the students. So are you planning to engage students in any kind of training? And if yes, do we have any idea about what's in the plan for students in particular?
Yes, so the answer is we will be integrating more students in throughout next year. We could be doing some pilots with some teachers that were on our committee or other teachers that are interested. Our very first priority was staff, and so and as Aaron alluded to, the new standards that are coming out, those will also impact some of our work around students. So we'll work in tandem with that rollout and with our AI plan as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Just out of curiosity, thank you. Is there software that will determine if a student's document is AI? Is there filtration systems? Because if students are going to be using it.
Yeah, so we already have content filtering that also has AI categories just to make sure that they're using the sites that are approved. And then as far as originality type stuff, most of our departments have tools currently that they're using. Google Classroom has a built-in originality report. It's like most other things that can be hit or miss as it gets better. But our job is to support our teachers with that, but also to train the students in a way that they understand. When they, if it's a document, a letter, or a paper that they write, that they cite. If the teacher says no AI is in use, then they shouldn't use any AI. And if it's determined, then that may impact their grade based on the syllabus or the expectations that the teacher has.
Thank you.
Good question.
I've got a question about the 4 big AI platforms, and just making sure that they are COPA and FERPA, on the up and up, so that they meet those requirements. Do we have any type of information that has gone out to staff about, this is what platforms are appropriate for doing X, Y, and Z? These platforms really shouldn't be utilized because they don't meet those criteria?
I don't think we've listed that explicitly at this point. I think that's part of what this committee was going through to make sure that we had all of our ducks in a row on what we wanted to have our staff make sure that they did. So I think that's probably next. I mean, as we've had informal discussions, yes, but I wouldn't say formally we've sent something out.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it from like a classroom perspective, like just a one-pager. Use this for this, don't use it for
We
this.
currently don't allow, it is blocked for students except for in a couple situations where we have allowed teachers like Mr. Guerra at the high school, who was on our committee because he wanted to check out what some of the Google Gemini gems he could use. It was kind of cool. He set up a gem that acted as an ELA teacher that would allow a student to submit like kind of what they were working on, and it would help them like write the rough draft, or sorry, not the rough draft, but the outline. It would correct help them like think through their grammar, their sentence structure, what makes a good first introductory paragraph. But it's designed so that it doesn't allow them to ask, but just write my paper, like it wouldn't do that for them. Okay. So, but yeah, that is definitely, to your point, where we're headed next.
We have shared, and Scott shared with the administrative team, so all of our principals, like Gemini is the tool that we're using, partially because it sits, it is our enterprise system, so all our data sits there anyway. So we know if we're putting any data that would be student specific, because there are some good data use tools in there that they should only be using Gemini for that.
Thank you. Thanks for all the work that you guys have done on this.
It's a lot.
And if there are no other questions, I do want to just give a special thank you to Aaron Mauer. He's led several school districts in this process, and I'm extremely grateful for his guidance and work on this. He's done an excellent job in helping us, so I just do want to at least thank him for taking us through the process. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Feels like our room is a little out of balance.
I know. I feel like they're all, like I'm not talking to anybody else. Okay, so we're starting our last presentation now. This is our K-5 math adoption. So kind of, we can never make this thing work. Okay, so tonight for our K-5 math adoption, I have several presenters here tonight. Callie Poor, Don Hinkle, and Amy Justice from Mulberry, Hannah Aguilar, Mackenzie Manley, and Leslie Bennett from Grant. From Jefferson, I have Lynn Hines and Laura McDonald, and from the district office, I have Lainey and I. So I first just kind of want to start out by, you've seen this slide over the past 6 years for each curriculum adoption process, and it's just an overview of the process that we use when adopting new materials. Our K-5 math adoption formally started in May of 2025, so it's been 1 year. We had approximately 75 staff members that were a part of this process, and that included classroom teachers, GT teachers, special ed, dual language teachers, coaches, and administrators. And I think we're just a very fortunate district to have so many voices in this process, because I really do believe that in the end we make really good decisions based on the experts, and those are the teachers that use this in their classroom.
Good evening. I'd like to talk to you just to start out about the professional learning that teachers engaged in over the past year. The K-5 math teachers, which is every teacher that teaches math, and in the 3 pilot schools, well, actually every math teacher in the district and elementary, and all the math teachers in 6th through 12th grade have engaged in professional learning regarding this book called Principles to Actions. And this learning has deepened our collective understanding of high-quality mathematics instruction, including, as you can see on the slide, there's some of the 8 effective math teaching practices: productive struggle, mathematical discourse, conceptual understanding, and the effective use of representations in student thinking and instruction. This work directly supports the curriculum review process by helping teachers evaluate the materials through a shared instructional vision and common language that is around the effective teaching practices, not just like what kind of bells and whistles the program might have to make our lives easier, but what are the research-based best practices and learning experiences that they provide for our students. So that kind of grounded our learning and our vision for the pilot. Following the review process, the selection team identified 2 programs to pilot in 3 elementary schools: Mulberry, Jefferson, and Grant were part of the pilot. Every mathematics teacher, grades K through 5, we're piloting Reveal first, which is a McGraw-Hill product, and then iReady is a Curriculum Associates product. Each pilot started with training provided by the vendors so that they could support implementation and to familiarize the teachers with the digital and the print materials that the program offered. The Reveal training took place on our in-service day, January 19th, and the pilot went for 6 weeks from January 26th through March 6th. The second training for iReady was on February 13th, which was our other in-service day. And then that pilot went from after spring break to May 1st, which was just a week or 2 ago. So it was a very tight turnaround time to get everything put together. Throughout both pilots, teachers participated in bi-weekly meetings with the district leaders and vendor reps. They provided opportunities for them to ask questions, share what they were going through, help each other through the implementation, talk about challenges, any technical questions they might have, and then just learn more about the resources available to them, and then have that ongoing support throughout the pilot process.
Okay, so I'm Callie. I'm at Mulberry. And following the completion of our second pilot, we gathered feedback from both teachers and students. So you can see on the chart that it resulted showing that 71.7% of teachers preferred iReady and 28.3% preferred Reveal. And then for student feedback, it showed stronger support for iReady with 82.9% of students preferring it, and then 11.6 wanted Reveal. And then that little purple section is a small percentage of students with no preference. They liked both. And then we did not have any community member responses. And then looking at the kindergarten data, this is showing the feedback from the teachers that piloted it. And for staff, it looks like 88.9% preferred iReady, whereas 11.1% preferred Reveal. And then students, it showed 87.7% preferred iReady, while 12.3% preferred Reveal. And then just some feedback from teachers. The common feedback was that for Reveal, the teacher resources for differentiation are easy to follow and implement. The workbooks were clean and well organized, though the digital platform can be tricky for kids to use alone. And then compared to iReady, the feedback was that it felt more specifically designed for K through 2 needs rather than a one-size-fits-all model. And then the last thing that it said was it moves students beyond memorization into deep math understanding with the try, discuss, connect method.
I am Lynn Hines, and I teach first grade at Jefferson, and I was one of the pilot teachers as well as the original committee of narrowing down which curriculums we would choose. So with first grade, looking at the data, 88.9% of the staff in first grade preferred iReady, as opposed to 11.1% that preferred Reveal. And out of the students, again, unanimously preferred iReady with 86.9% and 13.1% preferred Reveal. Looking at Reveal, the feedback from teachers was teachers found the curriculum rigorous and well aligned with our first grade standards. The number routines at the start of lessons were highly praised for building fluency. iReady staff felt that it encouraged great math talks between students through the discuss phase of the lessons, and teachers loved the immediate data that we received from the diagnostic, which also helps us group students for small groups.
Hello, I'm Hannah Aguilar, and I teach first grade at Grant. I was also on the math committee. As you can see, again, second grade staff preferred iReady. 80% of them preferred iReady, where 20% preferred Reveal. As far as the students goes, it's even a higher percentage of students preferred iReady, 91.7%, versus 8.3% that preferred Reveal, sorry. Some of the feedback for Reveal was that the step it out and on your own sections provided a logical progression for second graders to build independence. Many found the use of the consistent visual models like number lines and arrays to be very helpful for conceptual understanding. iReady comments included students were highly engaged by the interactive digital learning games that reinforced learning concepts, and the curriculum pushed the students to explain how they solved the problem, which improved their mathematical communication.
Hi, I'm Mackenzie Manley. I teach fourth grade at Grant, but I will be talking about third grade today. I was one of the pilot teachers as well. I'm trying to find... Yeah. Oh, perfect, thank you. Okay, so out of the total responses for staff, we had 8. 5.5% preferred Reveal over iReady. 37.5% preferred the iReady. For students, 92 total response, and a greater amount, 76.1% chose iReady, 10.9% chose Reveal, and 13% liked both. Some of the positive comments from teachers for Reveal include they felt like it was strong at introducing multiplication and division concepts through visuals such as arrays and area models. They also said that Reveal included helpful math language development to kind of help prepare them for those tricky story problems. For iReady, some of the positive comments included teachers found the prerequisites reports invaluable for identifying which students were missing the second grade foundations needed for third grade concepts, and that they felt that the questions did a good job mirroring the format of state standardized tests, which kind of helped prepare the students for state testing later on. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Laura McDonald, teaching fourth grade at Jefferson. I was in a pilot school and I was on the math selection team, which was quite a rigorous process, and I learned a lot doing it. As you can see, fourth grade teachers were kind of split on the two, a little more lean toward iReady, but liked both programs pretty well. The students overwhelmingly liked iReady. I was kind of interested that almost 10% of our students liked both equally, so that was kind of interesting to look at. Some of the things that we noticed in both programs were that the rigor was much better than what we'd been using. A lot of word problems, multi-step word problems, which I think is going to greatly enhance their reading as well. We're going to be reading a lot in math as well as in the reading curriculum, so I think that's going to be great for students. In the Reveal program in 4th grade, we did the fraction unit. So we started out with equivalent fractions, we did some line plots with fractions, we added and subtracted and multiplied basic fractions. With the iReady pilot program, we took that into mixed numbers and did adding and subtracting with mixed numbers and a lot of pretty intense word problems with fractions and with US customary and metric measurements. So they've kind of got a range with both programs. Students really like the online platform. What I really liked about it as a teacher is that we've got the diagnostic piece with iReady. So the students will go on at the beginning of the year and take a test to kind of see where their working level is in all the different topics in math. And this goes for all the grades. Then the students are placed on what's called a MyPath based on what they missed, what they got right on that diagnostic test. Then that places them at their instructional level. Each one has their own differentiated plan that they work through to kind of fill in any gaps that they're missing or move them forward if they need that extension, which is a piece that we really, really, really liked about that. Along with that, we can do that diagnostic test 3 times a year, which gives us a lot of data on how they're making that progress. We can see on the teacher side of the portal what they're working on, where those gaps are, what we need to fill in. A lot of teacher tools for intervention time to help fill in those gaps as well. Some of the teachers had mentioned that there were really good visuals in both books with as far as showing different models to do math, whether that be area models, tape diagrams, line plots, number lines, and that was really good for the kids to see multiple ways to attack those problems. One thing that's different in the 4th grade book than some of the earlier books is that there's an additional step in each lesson that is called the discuss part of the lesson. So there's a lot of students working together to try to come up with their own ideas on how to attack the problem and support each other's reasoning and accept different views coming at the problem. So overwhelmingly, 4th grade chose iReady, but I'll say that we liked both of the programs. I think we're in a win-win situation.
I'm Dawn Hinkle. I'm at Mulberry for one of the pilot schools, and I teach 5th grade. Staff was pretty 50-50 on that one. Students, majority liked the iReady, and with Reveal, teachers liked how the curriculum bridges the gap between concrete modeling and abstract algorithms for dividing fractions. And each lesson has a very clear I can statement that helps students track their own learning goals. And then for iReady, the adaptive MyPath is highly effective for 5th graders, allowing advanced students to move into the 6th grade content. And the step-by-step teacher guide provides excellent scripting for facilitating high-level classroom discussions.
Good evening, I'm Leslie Bennett, and I serve as the principal at Grant Elementary, and I'm going to, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Okay, it's not me yet.
It's not
okay.
Well, you're welcome to do my slide, but okay, so as you can see, we had teachers that liked both Reveal and iReady, maybe a little bit higher emphasis on iReady, but what we did after all the pilots were completed, we brought back our selection team to go through all of the feedback that we had received from the pilot. The selection team was made up of the original team that went listened to vendors, looked at research, rubrics. In addition to on that selection team, we had teachers that actually piloted. So it was a really nice mix to come back together and kind of go through the next process, which will be our consensus process, and that is going to be Leslie. Oh, no, Amy. It's Amy. Just for the record, we did just get this together today, so bear with us. Okay, or me. There you go.
Okay. I am Amy Justice, and I'm going to talk to you about the consensus decision-making process. So this was a really, as Laura said, it was a really rigorous process, which was really nice to ensure that we listened to everybody's voices. So it was a great selection of a team that was out there. So what we did was we came together recently, and then we just had some private reasoning time where we looked at all the criteria, and everybody just kind of had some time to look at trends and patterns by themselves, and then each table had each grade level team, so like kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. We were all in here, and we had a facilitator at the table that just was able to make sure everybody's voice around the table was heard. So we followed that discussion and just identifying that emerging proposal and identifying concerns that people had. In addition, we were just collaborating and talking about those experiences that some of the teachers around the table who were in a math pilot school were having, and the teachers that weren't a math pilot school, they were able to ask some clarifying questions, so that was nice. Then we got closer to like, where do you stand? Like on a fist of 1 to 4, are you with Reveal or are you with iReady? And it was really great discussion around the tables, and I think it was nice that we all had a facilitator to foster that conversation, and it really did turn out, you know, like everybody across the board really wanted iReady, so I think that was a really nice process. And looking at some of the data, I mean, to be honest, we were like, what's gonna happen here? But we had really great discussions through that process, and yeah, so it was very clear, and we just identified that student data and what our concerns were, and some of the things that you heard from the teachers about, you know, things we want to stay tight on going forward with this curriculum that we choose.
Just so anxious to get up here. So in summary, as you can tell, all grade levels at the end, after much discussion and deliberation, decided on iReady as their grade level recommendation for the district math adoption. Some of the discussion we had was the evidence and reasoning behind that. So a lot of these things were mentioned already, but again, across the pilot classrooms, teachers reported that there was very strong student engagement, and you can tell from the student data that students enjoyed iReady as well. There's a lot of differentiation embedded in the curriculum. There's a lot of accessible technology tools. And then we talked a lot about that diagnostic piece in the instructional data and resources to support teachers with that differentiation. So there's a built-in diagnostic, as Laura talked about, that we can give 3 times a year that directly aligns to the iReady curriculum, which is very user-friendly, to help us with those tier 2 and tier 3 interventions already built in. So that was a big selling feature, I think, that a lot of staff were interested in. Teachers noted that the lessons and the aligned resources and intervention supports help increase that student engagement as well. And again, the student feedback strongly showed support for iReady as well. We also took note of some things to consider with this adoption. You know, no curriculum is perfect. So we got feedback from staff and students as well as like, what are some things that we need to consider, maybe supporting staff, teachers, students with, and making sure that this is a smooth transition process. So some of the things that were mentioned was just making sure that we have the manipulatives and hands-on materials available for teachers. So when they're recommended for use in the lessons, we'd like to try to have those for teachers' use. Obviously, the time needed to prepare some of those math games and resources is important and something to take into consideration. We needed a little bit more guidance and maybe professional development around the diagnostic. I think in part of the conversations I was in, we kind of didn't quite figure out the whole diagnostic till the end of the pilot. And we found out pieces through those biweekly meetings that, like, you know, in retrospect, if we knew 6 weeks ago might have been different, but maybe not. Like, we just had to jump in and try it to know what to even ask. But I think just more experience and professional learning around that will help us guide that diagnostic to help us differentiate even more. Along with that is ongoing professional learning around the technology platform. I would say with the discussions I was in, both curriculums had clunkiness to the online platform, but I think that's just part of getting used to a new tool. So we need a little bit more experience with that. Ensuring that the online component is used intentionally and balanced with instruction. There were some questions about rigor and support for higher level learners, and importance in strong vertical alignment across grade levels to support student success.
All right, so the considerations that Leslie just covered are really important for us as we plan professional development for next year. Those were concerns by teachers, and so we really want to be intentional about making sure that teachers have that support for professional development next year. So we have a preliminary quote for the adoption of this program, and it's attached to the slideshow, but I think it was around 546,000, something like that. I have the quote over in my bag, so I can double check it, but that quote does include all of the materials. Some of the things that you heard from teachers is ensuring that they have manipulatives and kits, that they don't have to make all of those things or go find them or buy them. And so those manipulatives and kits and professional development is all included in that quote. We would be working with the curriculum, with iReady, to set up that professional development for next year with a big kickoff for all of our teachers in August. And so we would, one of the things that the teachers asked for is to have professional development in grade level teams, because the needs of a kindergarten teacher are different than a fifth grade teacher. So we would honor that training and make sure that we provide that for them for next year. And then in addition to that, they will have ongoing training throughout the school year. So that is the end of our slideshow, and I really do want to thank all these teachers. We did have a very tight turnaround. We just finished this late Thursday night, and I'm very thankful for Lainey and the team for, you know, getting this all ready for you to present tonight. So thank you for listening.
I'm just thankful that you didn't try to give us a math quiz or something so that we had to try to figure out. Yes, thank you, because I know how hard that is to be able to get everybody to a consensus, and it was interesting to see the breakdowns. The thing I do have to ask is, I guess maybe Mackenzie, on yours, it showed that the teachers were seeming to actually like the other one more. Comparably, and then when you start getting into fourth grade, you see a trend upward, you know, with it, and into the fifth grade. But the kids all seem to still like the idea of the iReady. Is there a reason you think you feel with that, girls?
I mean, I think it's a win-win regardless. I'm happy with both, but I know in my classroom, my students, we had kind of pros and cons of each. And iReady had a lot more pros. I think overall they felt like they were more engaged in the lessons, and I think it really did a good job breaking down each session, broke down the concept for them to understand, but also challenged them as well. And I think it had like lots of discussion with each other, and like getting to share their own strategies and what works for them. But
good.
That's
Thank
my
you.
classroom.
I would just add too, I think this is a really hard task for teachers to do because they're learning this and teaching it all at the same time.
True.
So they have a lot of mixed emotions when they're going through there, and a lot of times it came down to the website too in some cases where, you know, that was frustrating to maneuver that and to understand all those pieces. And I think too, it's just with iReady, having that diagnostic piece or that intervention piece was weighted heavier. And so when we had those really good, rich discussions, knowing that they could have that to differentiate and meet those individual needs, you know, became a bigger, you know, a component that was mattered.
That a little bit too. I was part of the facilitator for the third grade team, which was very split down the middle. There was a little more deliberation there, and I'd agree with everything that Mackenzie and Amy have said. I know at the third grade level, it was really interesting when we looked at the data because the staff overall said they preferred iReady, but then when we broke it down into the different components, iReady scored higher than Reveal in the individual components of all the practices that we were looking at. So it was really interesting. We don't know why that is, and it made for an interesting conversation. But I would agree when it came down to it, there was just a few more advantages to the third grade team, for example, for iReady. And a big one was that diagnostic piece and intervention piece that was not necessarily built in with Reveal.
Right, thank you.
Just to address that data, that was like 9 responses. So if you have 5 and 4, it's just one person that might have tipped the scale in that manner.
That much about math I do remember.
Well, I have just a couple comments, and first of all, thank you. I mean, I know something like that is really a huge task to review, things like that. But one of the things that I really like in one of your slides under considerations, the importance of strong vertical alignment across grade levels to support student success. We definitely need, some materials that communicates well after 5th grade with 6, 7, all the way to high school. So I think this is a very important point that I assume we as a district and you as teachers going to consider that to make sure that we're building them in a way so that they will continue to succeed in 6th grade, 7th grades, and so on. So I really like that. So thank you for adding this point to the council.
I got a question. From the pilot dates from March 6th to the 23rd of March, did they just go back to the regular curriculum that they were doing in between that time?
Yeah, so a lot of them just used that next week. Wasn't like right before conferences, and so a lot of them, were doing some conference kinds of things to prep, but they could continue using what they had.
Okay.
Before we started the pilot, we had to go through and look at what their current math program is teaching. Then we had to look at the pilot materials to make sure that we didn't leave any gaps for students. And so if there was a gap that they might not have covered in their pilot, they had to use that week to teach a gap that a student may have had based on a standard that they missed.
Okay.
So there was a lot of upfront planning on those units and alignment.
Okay.
What's the time commitment for the diagnostic?
The diagnostic tool. It's 1 hour-ish.
But they're changing.
Yeah.
They actually just redid that assessment to be 30 minutes.
Okay. And then what will that look like in terms of administration, from like kindergarten? Probably looks very different than 5th grade. Like, how's that going to roll out?
For the diagnostic tool. So we'll work with iReady to do the training when they get the new one, the new version. Then we'll work with them to do that or to set that training up with our teachers. I don't have the exact because they're giving us a new one, but we will work with them to do that. So we do it 3 times a year, and with that, the Tier 2 program directly aligns and helps support the Tier 1. So we'll work with the trainers and our grade levels on just the best practice for the diagnostic tools and what that looks like for a kindergartner versus a 5th grader.
Do they take them all electronically, or is there any component that needs to be one-on-one, kind of like our FAST?
You can go ahead.
So in 1st grade with the diagnostic, it is electronically, but the weekly, so you have a lesson, and the lesson is all week long, and it's broken up into different sessions. And so it starts with an introduction, and each day you're continuing building those skills, and the kids really feel confident in themselves. In my classroom alone, I was hearing many kids say, I love math, and they were kids that usually had a really hard time, those little ones, getting them engaged and, finding that they can do those hard things. But with the diagnostic, like I said, it is online, but the weekly lesson, so at the end of your lesson each week, you can give a quiz, short 5 questions that the students can show their work. And then at the end of a unit, you have your regular assessment, which can be paper pencil, the quizzes, and that they can be digitally. We chose to do them paper pencil because our little ones, it's easier for them. The diagnostic, you can break it up into chunks. It doesn't have to be done all in one sitting. So we could do 10 minutes with a small group of students, stop, and then it will just pick up right where they were the last time. And it will give them questions to, that are more challenging, something they've never seen before. And I even had students like, what's this? And I'm like, it's okay, just try your best. And then there are easier things, so we really get a true picture of where the students are at with that. So the kids really, really seem to like it. And we did the diagnostic prior to starting the pilot. And our first grade at Jefferson, we decided we wanted to give it again, just to see, okay, after doing the program and now we know a little bit more and the kids are familiar, what data we would see from that, just so that we can, have a good understanding going into next year.
Yeah. Thanks, Lynn. And one more question, just about EL. What were the supports like for EL students? Did anybody have any experience working with that?
I mean, I was gonna say, you can, or Lainey, you can talk to where you.
Dual language, they had it all in Spanish, and that was a key component when we were looking at the curriculums to narrow down from the vendors which ones really did have those components and supports for our dual language teachers and also our EL students and students in the dual language program.
So yeah, I was gonna say, when the committee initially met, we went on ed reports, we did a ton of research, we met with vendors. That was one of our key components is for our dual language programs and EL students, obviously, if they needed any support in the classrooms. And then also we had a GT, gifted and talented. We wanted to make sure also that, we were reaching learners that needed extensions too. And then we also looked a lot at special education and the alignment for those students as well.
We did meet with the curriculum associates rep with the dual language teachers specifically because they do have some programs that are specific to dual language and ESL. So they do have extra supports available that we are going to purchase as part of the program.
I just want to say too, I've had students, I feel like for the last several years, there's always a curriculum adoption. And if I didn't, yeah, right,
So do I.
Yeah, but if I didn't sit here, I don't think I would know that. And there's a lot of work that goes into it, but there are so many kudos to the teachers because the students, they just think it's another day, it's fun, we get to try something new, and so you're delivering it seamlessly. And I think that that's really just remarkable because I don't know that if we change a platform or something that we do every day at work, everyone knows it because we're all miserable. And so the fact that you can do that with students is just really great job to all of you because I didn't even notice necessarily that it was just happening, the last several months. So thank you for that. I do have a question about the interventions and the extensions. I heard Mrs. McDonald say that it's heavy on word problems. And as a parent, I'm like, oh, great. So what does that look like? You all teach ELA as well. So what does that look like with the vocabulary and that comprehension piece, how it aligns with our reading and
That's a good question.
proficiency?
So every unit does have vocabulary work that's built in for the math especially. It doesn't jump them right into like huge word problems. In fourth grade, the rigor of the word problems in this last section that we just did, they were multi-step word problems, and it didn't necessarily give them all of everything in a nice, neat order where they could just, we like that. It's actually helping, what we're finding is the students are having to read more carefully, and they're asking a lot of questions about the words and the terminology, and having to take notes and draw pictures. Okay, so I've got that information on. This is a really, really good thing. It's not scary. We're finding out that word problems aren't scary. The kids are finding out that word problems aren't scary. It's just like putting a puzzle together. You put in one piece at a time until you get to the final result. But we really feel like this is going to help our students to read better as well. We haven't been doing a whole lot of reading in math with our prior curriculum, and this really encourages that. So this is something that we're excited about, and we think in the long run it's going to be good for kids' reading ability as well as their math.
Perfect.
Nothing scary, I promise.
I was just mirroring my own children. And then through those interventions and the extensions, does it allow you to accommodate somebody that maybe does have some delays in their reading, or is it kind of just catch up? There are a lot of those. Yeah.
I can tell you at the first grade level, we're pretty much teaching them how to read. And kind of going back to the word problems, it was actually really refreshing because almost my entire class could read these word problems independently. Assessments were able to be given whole group because they can read the problems. And so as far as the interventions go, a lot of it is it's similar to like our M class, like you're delivering it to them, at least at the first grade level.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, thank you.
I just want to say thank you to Joelle and Lainey and all of our teachers and our admin and supporting this process. And I usually say this every time. There's an easier way to adopt curriculum, right? That doesn't mean it's the best way. But what I really like about this process, it is rigorous, right? It's grounded before they get anywhere near looking at curriculum. We've already grounded them in the standards. We've grounded them in instructional best practice, and we've grounded them in MTSS, and they're using that as their frame of reference when they're going through this process. And I think that's why they have such great debate about, what's best, because they're really evaluating based on those things, not just what's flashy and new, but it's really on when they're teaching it, kids are using it, it meets all those needs. And so I just appreciate all the time that goes into the process, because I know in the end it benefits our kids. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll hand it back to Clint for the superintendent update.
All right. So just a few things quick, just some legislative updates. We finally got through the legislative session. I would say it's still to be determined what all of the different legislation impact will be. Certainly the tax reform was a big one, and specifically for schools around kind of shaving off, the 1% sales tax dollars that schools receive in order to offset that tax reform. That impacts everybody. That certainly will impact us. I mean, we don't have final numbers on any of that, and obviously down the road, some of those pieces will be determined, but it's a significant, like $5 million over the, up until 2030, we'll lose that revenue over that period of time. And so, again, we'll continue to update. It's gonna be tighter for us, but certainly it's worse in other places in the state. And I shared in community conversation, one of our superintendent colleagues in Macokota, they're in the process of building a brand new elementary. They've done their first round of bonds for that elementary and are in the middle of construction, and we're getting ready to close on the second round of bonds, just like we did here. And then this legislation passed, and the finance, the bank said no. So now they're in the middle of construction, and they don't have enough money to complete the project. So and I think they've become the poster child of what, one of the consequences they talked about with the legislation is then it's going to put them in a position where they have to go out to their taxpayers and ask for more, property tax in order to finish that project and be able to support students within that building. So, again, there's certainly a downside to this. And we'll see how that plays out for us and some of the types of shifting we may have to do as that rolls forward. Lots of other legislation was passed. I know this was, every year we go in saying, I really hope they just kind of like leave us alone this year. That again did not happen. I think it was just as active this year as it's been the last several years. There was some legislation on classroom discipline, on gifted, on a lot of things. And until they really write the rules for that, it's hard to say what that's exactly going to look like. And so we'll kind of wait for that. That also includes with an open enrollment change for athletic eligibility, allowing 8th graders now to participate in high school athletics. There's a whole lot of, like, we've already had a couple of meetings around that, but until, again, they write the rules on that, we don't know what that's going to look like. One of the things just related to that we've talked about is, you know, we know they're going to start summer workouts for fall sports here and very soon, right? So whenever those rules do come out, what we will likely do is hit pause until the next season, and so we have a better understanding of what it looks like. So, you know, if we get that in August, right, during the fall season, you know, we're gonna wait till winter to like implement anything if we're gonna change anything. And so we've just had some initial conversations on that because there's a lot of impacts, even potentially to that one. So we'll continue to keep you updated as rules get written, as policy change, IASB updates, and share those with you. Just a reminder that it's just a really busy time of year, but it's also a great time of year. You know, we're coming up on scholarship night. We just had excellence in education. We've got AP testing that's happening. You heard a lot of those pieces tonight. And obviously graduation is Sunday. We'll also have a project search graduation this year. So just a lot of really great things happening as we finish the year in a really strong position. So I think we're looking at about 340 graduates. Obviously there's always a little bit of the last minute dash to the finish for some. So that number may fluctuate a little bit, but feeling good about where we'll land with that. Any questions about that? Okay. Well, then the last thing I want to talk briefly about is May is School Board Appreciation Month. And so we just want to say thank you for the job that you do. It's volunteer. It's a lot of time. Most people don't see the time and effort and energy that the 7 of you put into it, and what boards do. And you're responsible for really setting the direction, for accountability, for our, you know, really moving us in those directions. Obviously, from a management side, we implement those things, but you really kind of oversee the whole process and make sure we're headed in the right direction, and a lot of time in community engagement as well. I think, you know, again, the amount of people that reach out to you with questions, concerns, again, it's kind of a 24/7 job in a lot of ways, again, that you don't get paid for. So we just want to say thank you. You have some nice little flowers there. Thank you to Michelle for that, for you. So I've got some certificates, and I did warn you, so I want to hand out some certificates, and we're going to take a picture. Kim, you're not getting out of it. All right, so I'll just have you come up individually. I'll give you your certificate, and we'll take a picture. John Beat. Danny Schurer. And Karen Cooney.
Medical. I was sweating a little bit. I was sweating. Run, Forrest, run.
Sorry.
That's it, moving on. All right, we are going to move into the consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the Board of Education and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a director so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence from the agenda. A, approve the minutes of the April 13th regular session and April 27th closed session meetings. Approve the bills and claims against the district dated May 11th, 2026. Approve the following employment recommendations. Approve the following policies with no minimal or required by law changes. Approve the 26-27 agreement for athletic training coverage, strength and conditioning services between Muscatine Community School District and Rock Valley Physical Therapy. Approve the 26-27 agreement between the Iowa Jobs for America's Graduates, or IJAG, and Muscatine Community School District for the Muscatine High School IJAG program and Muscatine Community School District. Approve the Resource Navigator service agreement between Muscatine Community School District and Unity Healthcare, doing business as Trinity Muscatine, for the 26-27 year. Approve the 26-27 MOA between Muscatine Community School District and Eastern Iowa Community College for education practicum students. Approve the 26-27 MOA between Muscatine Community School District and Eastern Iowa Community College for the College Connections program. Approve the 26-27 agreement for teacher education clinical experience placements with Muscatine Community School District and Morningside University. And approve the AEA purchasing agreement with Mississippi Bend AEA for the 26-27 school year. It was a long consent agenda. We will need a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
And a second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Items requiring action is to approve amending the fiscal year 26 budget as presented. We do have that attached. We'll need a motion.
I move to approve the amending the FY26 budget as presented.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is to approve the 2026 MHS partial roof replacement to Jim Geis Commercial Roofing in the amount of $1,362,800. We'll need a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
So this says partial roof replacement?
Partial, yeah. So there's two, I mean, it's quite a bit of real estate on the roof. So it's basically the main two areas where we had a study done last summer on all of our roofs, and we kind of got identified areas that need to be replaced immediately, and then like 1 to 3 years, and then 3 to 5 years. So this is two very big areas on the MHS roof, which would be above the cafeteria area in that square, kind of the into the gym foyer, and then also the entire auditorium area, which have been problematic for a long time. And part of that cost too is, unfortunately, our old friend asbestos popped back up there, and so there's pretty significant amount of money that's going to abate that before we replace the roof.
Certainly needs to be addressed, so it's bad.
Yeah.
Lots of teachers with things holding water, and so no getting around a new roof.
Yeah.
right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is to approve the Muscatine High School concrete replacement project in the amount of $520,929.50. We need a motion.
I'll motion to approve.
We have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
So this concrete work, is that going to be done immediately, or?
Some of it, yes. So, yeah, we
The reason I ask is because, you know, we have activities going on
Sure.
back there. Is this gonna
Yep.
curtail that, or how we have an alternative plans for people to get back to the softball field or get to the Van Heck Center or something like that?
So we have three main areas getting replaced. The biggest one is all of Bonnie Drive, which I don't know, you know, these areas that we're replacing are in dire need of being replaced. So Bonnie Drive is gonna kind of go first, so we can close that gate and people can enter through Hauser and Cedar for any activities and get to where they need to go. The next stage is the hill going up to the Cedar Street lot. So it'll be about 2 weeks probably-ish, depending on weather for Bonnie Drive. The next 2 weeks is the hill going up to the Cedar Street lot. So then what we'll do is we'll make that kind of a 2-lane around the high school instead so we can get to the back. And then the last part is the behind the high school in front of Van Heck, that stretch basically to the football field entrance. And we're gonna wait until the last 2 weeks of July to do that. So we should have, one of those weeks is dead week, so we should have softball done, and so. But I think we got it planned out fairly well, hopefully that the weather doesn't impede any of those things, but it shouldn't be too much of a distraction for anybody.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the purchase of the nope, I'm on the wrong thing now. The concrete. Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now the Chromebooks. We're going to approve the purchase of 1,185 student Chromebooks from Bloom in the amount of $525,225.24. We'll need a motion for that.
I so move.
Second.
Any discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item is to approve the purchase of 150 teacher MacBooks from Apple Education in the amount of $146,850. We'll need a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion on that?
Just as why is it's MacBooks for the teachers compared to the kids having?
The question is why do staff use MacBooks?
Why is it MacBooks used compared to the Chromebooks?
It's for a variety of reasons. Traditionally, that's what we've used in this district. We feel that the MacBooks provide the teachers with a better platform for being able to do all the tools, like all these curriculum projects that you approve for them. The tools that they use with that require a little bit more CPU power, and so the level of MacBook that we provide for the teachers is appropriate for that usage that they need.
Yeah, they got more stuff that they have to try to handle compared to the kids. Yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Next is to approve the tentative Muscatine High School class of 2026 graduates.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approve extending the managed print service agreement with Gordon Flesch through August 2029 in the amount of $158,463.12 per year.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approve the purchase of 2 buses from school bus sales in the amount of $321,068.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
These buses, are they, it looks like they're run on gasoline? Okay. Do we have buses now that run on propane, correct?
So yeah, we're buying, we bought gas buses last year, we're buying gas buses this year again. We got still about half of our buses are on propane. There's a variety of reasons. We're just trying to keep them kind of half and half. But the biggest thing with propane, any type of longer travel, it becomes very problematic, obviously, because we can only get so far with, on the fuel there, and we wouldn't be able to fuel up. So, but for the most part, the gas buses that are air conditioned is what these are.
Do we have gas tanks available at the bus barn that we fill up?
Yep.
Buy in bulk, is that what we do?
Yeah, so we buy our propane in bulk and our regular gas in bulk. We actually still have one diesel bus and some of our tractors and things, but for the most part, we buy everything in bulk besides diesel now.
All right.
I'm still going to ask each year about where we're at about eventually getting what? An electric one,
Yeah. We're kind of
that's
in the
your
pause
answer.
mode,
Yeah.
I guess, Karen. I don't know.
I think, again, it's something we're always looking at. If there were, more grants to make that they're a higher cost. They don't run as long, especially in the winter. And so for right now, like the cost to operate, it's best to stick with. Natural gas are really good as well. But again, for that right now, it's a little more cost prohibitive.
But Chris did just say yes.
What's that?
You did just say yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I looked into this, to Karen's point, a while back, but the grant would not cover the entire costs of the buses and also the infrastructure that you need to charge the buses. So it was going to still be a significant amount of money for us to buy the buses, and even if we got the grant to be able to do that. So I kind of put it on pause for now. So I'll keep looking though. I have no problem going after it if it makes sense.
I'm always asked each year, so I said every year I'll bring it up, so
Okay.
thank you.
I'll be ready.
All right. All in favor of bus purchases, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, approve the purchase of a Chrysler Voyager ramp van from school bus sales in the amount of $79,500.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Discussion on that? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the next, that's it, I think. I don't know what I did with that piece of paper. I looked up the amount for the,
548, 910, 97.
okay. It's to approve the iReady math curriculum for grades K through 5 in the amount of $548,910.97.
So moved.
And second.
Any discussion? Other than what year do you learn to say all of those big numbers, like dollar amounts? Because I feel like I paid attention that year. I think there's been a lot.
You did a good job.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, discussion and information. We'll move into the April financials with Tal.
Okay, so April's on the agenda tonight. Everything's reconciled and it's compared there to the prior month. So we have large increase in cash is mainly due to property taxes being received in the month of April in our general management and PEPL. The treasurer's report for April 30th there compared to last year, the same period. No unexpected changes. Obviously, management and PEPL should be increasing as these amounts are what we will use then to pay our FY27 management fund. You know, all of our property casualty will be due in July, workers' comp. And then we approved a whole, several capital project expenditures that will be from SAVE and PEPL. So those will be, we'll have the cash for that. And then nutrition fund, just keep in mind, reimbursements are always in arrears, so even though I'm presenting April, we don't even have the revenue posted for the month of April, so that's kind of why those, percentages might look a little off. So we're pretty close to budgeted revenues and expenditures compared to last year, so I think we're good there. And remember, we still have May and June, but then there's still actually 4 months of teacher salary and benefits that we have to record in FY26 yet. So, 4 months worth of a large portion of our salary and benefits yet to expense. And then I apologize for the next paragraph. I didn't mean to make you guess what the number X stood for, so I did not put in what we did collect from our Municipal Collections of America, the set-off program. We are receiving quite a bit from the set-off program, so I will get those numbers and put them in there and then repost the report there. So, and then last month I reported we received the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting from ASBO International. And then, I submit the same report to the Governmental Finance Officers Association, which is basically governments, cities, schools, and counties. So we did get the Certificate of Excellence in that from that group also. So.
Nice work. Thank you.
That's all I got. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, we also have our second reading of the 26-27 student handbook. If there is any discussion on that?
I got a question on, I think it's on good conduct or the participation in non-school sports during the same season, and that you have to get special permission to do that. Now, is that for all grade levels, 9 through 12?
I believe so.
Because I know typically we have I know there's some baseball freshmen or eighth graders that are playing in a non-school sport during the same season, so they're gonna have to get some kind of permission, correct?
Yes, if they are high school.
They're on the high school team, so I don't know if we need to, have the AD talk to the coaches to make sure they remind them of that.
Yeah.
And because I don't know if that's happened in the past and I'm sure it's happening with some of the younger softball players also, so just kind of remind Mike to get that in so that way we're in compliance.
I did talk with a community member too about this, and then followed up with Mr. Castle about just clarifying some language on the minimum class requirements, and so just making note that, and I shouldn't say minimum class requirements, I guess if you're looking to participate in any extracurricular activities, essentially what makes you a full-time student, and just making sure that that's clearly stated for all students receiving academics, whether they're engaging in extracurriculars or not, just to clarify some of that, so. Otherwise, I think everything else is continuously being updated. It looks good. But for everyone working on this, people are reading it, which is exciting. Yeah. All right. Reviewing administrative regulations and exhibits. We have the 102E1, the Civil Rights Grievance Procedures, 104E1, the Anti-Bullying and Anti-Harassment Policy Complaint Forms. Any discussion on those? All right, announcements, we've heard several today, and then we'll add in or just verify. May 17th at 2 p.m. is the Muscatine High School graduation. May 25th will be Memorial Day. There is no school. May 29th will be the students' last day and a 2-hour early dismissal. June 8th will be our next regular school board meeting at 6:15, and then just a reminder that there will be no community conversations in June, July, or August.
That's correct. We'll be back with community conversation in September.
All right, any other announcements from anyone?
Yeah, I know McKenna mentioned that our girls' golf team was at the MAC conference today. I happened to be at that event, spent the day in Kewanee, and our girls finished 4th, so thought that was pretty good. We have a junior, 3 seniors, and a freshman playing, so.
All right. We'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,